Welcome, everyone, to another exciting and fun session with Spirit Sessions of You, the Light, where we just have too much fun with things. So, thank you for that, the neat sounds on that incoming video. Today,
Well,
I'm burning Kyphi, It's like it's got pine and all kinds of things. It's like an ancient Egyptian blend I've been looking for. So, I'm
oh,
sending this out to everyone today.
wow.
Oh, nice,
Mm. I
nice
wish I
energy.
could describe this to you, but that would take too long. Anyway, we have an exciting show today, so I want to invite all of you, our family, in today. We love each and every one of you, and thank you for everyone for subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking the videos. It means so much to us to be able to reach out and do these things like we do together. So, thank you for going over there and continue to share out the episodes because each week we pick a winner from whomever shares it out the most, and they win a session with one of us. So it's kind of amazing and kind of fun. So today we have Terry Andersen, and we are so excited because this is a return visit. She is a part of our guest family whom we love, and she's a medical intuitive among so many other things. This woman has been so brilliant, the wisdom, the intelligence, and the knowledge, and we're so glad to bring her here today. Welcome, Terry.
Oh, thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you all for having me here again.
Hi, yeah, Terry. I'm so excited to have you here again. I'm always drawn to you and your posts and just your website. You do so much, and you've had such a journey. It's so interesting how you got here. Can you give just a little bit of that story? I know you've told it before here, but some people, we've got new viewers, and we'd like you to just sort of tell them how you awakened to all these wonderful, amazing gifts that you have.
Okay, Rhonda, thank you. I was 30 years old, excuse me, and I went to work for one night for a lady who was sick in a neighborhood pub. And at the as the night progressed, I got more and more agitated in my gut, like there was something wrong, and I didn't know what it was. And I kept phoning my husband for 4 hours of an 8-hour shift saying there's something wrong. And anyway, at the end of the night, I locked all the windows and doors after the last patrons left, and I thought I could hear noises outside, but I was talking myself out of it. And so I was terrified when I exited the building. I had my car keys in my hand. I flew out the back door and slammed the door. As I was slamming the door behind me, two armed robbers rushed and beat me. And they had a sawed-off shotgun against my head and a crowbar up against my face and hand over my mouth and demanded that I let them in the building. And when they finally let me talk, I realized, I said to them, I don't have keys to get in. These are my car keys. And they believed me and said I could go. So, but in that moment, when the gun was against my head, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die and I'll never see my kids again. And in that moment, that was a near death experience. I had a brain injury, spinal injuries, many injuries, and I had amnesia for 11 months. And when I started coming out of amnesia, I realized I couldn't read. And so I was in hospital for at least 3 months the first time, and then in and out of treatment for about 10 years because I had brain injury, PTSD, a lot of physical injuries, and it took a long time to recover. But when in the amnesic period was when I had this out of body experience, and I was in another realm with these three beings in this place outside time and space, and I was trading or negotiating something with them, and their information just exuded into me, almost like telepathy, but not telepathy. It was different. And when I came back to body, it felt like, well, because I thought I died. And when I came back to a body, I thought, well, whose body is this? And what does this mean to be human? And what does this mean to be female? Like I had lost all sense of humanity. And so I had to relearn everything all over again, how to read, write, walk, talk, interact with people. And during this period of time, I was having these precognitive dreams, which seemed to me just like memory, like memory. I was remembering these events as they were happening. And I've talked to a neurologist about my injuries, and he said, well, in a near-death experience, if you have a gun at your head like that and you realize you can't escape, your body prepares for death, and the blood rushes from your extremities to your organs. And at that moment, there's so much adrenaline, and it peaks and it cascades, and it's a death hormone, he said. And in that moment, you can see everything all at once, past, present, and future. He said, but it takes years to integrate all of those images. So what I saw in my near-death experience was not only my past life, but my future life. And that took quite a long time to understand. That's a short story.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. And you've been having, like, so you've been working at this since you were 30, so for quite a few years.
Right.
I mean, and you do, in your work, you do medical mediumship too, and you tune into that person. So tell me your process. I know you went to school to sort of hone your gifts once you realized that you had the gifts. And why did you go to school? Why do you feel like that was such a good idea? Because some people don't invest in that, and I just want to hear your.
Well, I invested heavily into it because I needed to understand what had happened to me. I'd gone to university to talk to a professor of psychology, and he's about precognition. He said, well, nobody's going to believe you, Terry. And I thought, well, okay. But I still progressed and found remote viewing training, first of all. And that's kind of where I learned medical mediumship. Because there's medical applications in the controlled remote viewing. And but after I was fully trained in controlled remote viewing, I wanted more different kinds of training. So I went to England for spiritual training in at the Arthur Findlay College, and that was also magnificent training. And then I also trained with someone who's a psychic detective, so I've learned those arts too, and refined my skill set. And so it did take a long time, and it took a lot of money and dedication, but I felt that it was a mission, that I came back with a mission. So that was one of the driving forces. Another thing that kind of drove me through that was I had these dreams about a nephew that I had never met, about a car accident, and then 2 weeks later about an MRI scan, and I didn't understand it, and I didn't know who the child was. And then the next following day, I got a phone call from one of my sisters who said our nephew had been hit by a car. He had an MRI scan, and it showed the details of a traumatic brain injury. And those were all the details I saw in these precognitive dreams. And it's like my consciousness went through the MRI scan with him. And I thought, wow, how does this work? And when I finally met him, I just stood in prayer, and I thought, well, how does this work? How could I see a boy I'd never met twice in two separate precognitive dreams? And that's really what the driving force was that took me there. And sadly, he was 7 when he was hit by a car, and he just passed away a month ago at the age of 26 from a drug overdose.
Oh,
He was so severely brain injured that he could never live a normal life. So, yeah, so that has been quite a loss, and I do this work to honor him, and that's kind of where it came out of.
and you connect. You also do mediumship with people that have, for people who have loved ones who pass. So people in the spirit world come to you to communicate with their loved ones. Why do you think that's so important for, like, the person who has people who have? Why do you think that communication is so important? Like, and what healing do you see for that when that happens?
Wow. Well, some people don't get a chance to say goodbye. The person dies suddenly, or they're not there when they die. And so they have unfinished business. And it's often between the person who's died and the living, and vice versa. So that gives the platform really for that kind of clearing, I guess, that unfinished business to unfold. And that always leads to significant healing. I've done readings where somebody, a son died of a drug overdose, and he showed me how the circumstances where he was, and I relayed that to the mother, and she could confirm it, although she wasn't there when he died, but just all the details of it. And then another reading that comes to mind is a woman, a mother I was doing a reading for, and her husband came through, deceased husband came through, and I could feel the weight of a gun come up to his head. And I says, oh, he shot himself. And she said, yes. And then I saw her grandmother in spirit, and the grandmother was telling me of a son that had committed suicide in the same family.
Wow.
And I relayed that, and the mother said yes. And then the grandmother came through with a warning about another son that was living. And she said, he needs help. He needs help. And so I relayed that. And sure enough, he was suicidal too.
Yeah.
So sometimes suicide people can think it's a way out, but it's not. It's not. Yeah. Those are difficult, you know.
Yeah. Mental health is so hard, and sometimes suicide is just a snap decision, and anything could have stopped it, right? And sometimes it's long planned, but other times
sometimes it is long planned because they can't find the help that they need.
Right.
They don't know how to navigate the pain in their life or the loss. It's usually pain or loss or trauma or all of those, and or being mistreated or bullied, or there's so many things that contribute to a person not wanting to live.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's intergenerational abuse or neglect or addiction. There's so many factors that can go into
Long-term
someone
sicknesses.
suffering with mental health issues.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a stigma in our society still, even though I think it's getting less. If you have mental health issues, like, you're just supposed to, put on your big girl panties and go on, rather than just, get the help you need, or seek out friendship, or even share it with your friends. Because a lot of times we just put this mask on and nobody sees, and we're suffering in behind that mask. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a
So
really good resource that I would like to talk about, and that is Dr. Fill in the Blanks. He has many podcasts on varying mental health issues, and that's a real positive resource for people. And it's free.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Do you find that the spirits that come to you are seeking healing themselves, or seeking that, how would you say, that resolution as well as, or are they pretty good on that side and they don't really need it, but they know their loved one does?
I've had two readings that really stand out to address that. And one of them was with a man from Hong Kong, and I was doing a health medical intuitive reading for him. And then all of a sudden I started choking, and I panicked, and I left the room to calm down. And I came back and I said, it feels like you have a daughter in spirit, and she passed from the neck. And he said, yes, she hung herself.
Oh,
And then she relayed all of this information to him, and he just started weeping. And during that process, I could feel her heal, and I watched him healing, like the grief just melting. And so that was the first time I really felt a spirit healing that had departed. And then another incident was it was like I was in a dream, but I jumped out of my body to go and find my mom. I had unfinished business with my mom, and she was departed. And my grandmother was there and kind of stopped me. And then I saw my mom sitting at a very long table alone, and she was crying. And in that moment, I was healed when I connected to her sadness and tears. And this forgiveness, this healing took place, and that was, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that.
So yeah, I never ever thought that you connect with your loved ones who pass as well. And do they seek you out sometimes because they know
Yeah.
you can connect?
Yes, one of my nephews came to me in a dream, and it was actually an after-death communication in dream time, and he communicated to me that he wanted to play ball with his sister because he had a twin sister, and then he turned and looked at me over his shoulder with remorse as he went on his way. And in the morning, I emailed his sister and said, "Did you and your brother ever play ball together?" And she said, "No, we were both captains of ball teams, but we never got to play together." And I said, "Oh, now it makes sense." I said, "Your brother came to me last night and he said that he loves you and he wanted to play ball with you." So, it helped her heal on one level. He died by suicide as well. So those are hard. I've lost, one nephew to suicide, another nephew to drug overdose. He just couldn't overcome his brain injury.
Yeah, it's an epidemic. That's a real epidemic as well
It is.
in our
Yeah.
society. I was wondering, you were talking too about, you wanted to talk about unborn babies, which is a little bit happier subject. Do they come through beforehand to you?
They do. I was doing a reading for a lady, and I said, your son and his partner are going to have a baby. And I said, there's something wrong with the baby. It's not serious. And it's something to do with the face. And I said, but the relationship is this on again, off again, not very stable relationship. And the lady said, oh, yes, that's very true. And so the baby was born early. And I could tell that. I told the lady that. And born with a cleft palate. So it was easily repaired, with surgery.
So Teresa has a granddaughter that's coming, and she says she's visited Teresa many times.
I've talked to her. I didn't know I could. I mean, and then I tried, and then she's sitting there telling me, well, not sitting there, but I'm getting information that she's telling me about these angels that she's working with, and this and that, and I'm like, I wrote like 3 pages of notes. I just had no idea how much information was there, and then she told me that she wanted a little lamb called Wooly, a little toy. And so I decided I'm going to be the grandma to buy all kinds of lambs for her, till she gets her Wooly. Her name's Freya Bell.
Wow.
And she'll be here tomorrow, right? That's
Well,
what we're
she'll be
hoping.
induced at midnight tomorrow night. And so
Oh, okay.
any time after that.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
I also saw 2 daughters. They were about 2 or 3 years in difference of age. And I relayed that to the lady and I described what they look like. And she contacted me years later and said, you were right on. Those are my daughters.
That's
and so
amazing.
that was interesting. And then one of my firstborn daughters, she was communicating with me before she was born. That was very interesting.
How cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's like that. So we have these ways of communicating. It's telepathy through emotion and feeling and sentience, So we have more abilities than we are taught.
Yeah.
Instincts, and then these spiritual abilities. And once you start opening those abilities, then it starts to really blossom.
Very cool.
Yeah, they talk about chakras, and once your third eye and your crown chakra is open, then you can see through time and space, and then you can travel and have these out of body experiences. So that's what the monks do. That's kind of their training, is to try and reach those levels of awareness. And once that happens, there's a video on my Facebook page about children being taught remote viewing, and in that, I think they're middle school age, and they're being taught to see without using their eyes. And that's one of the enigmatic faculties that we have, among others.
It's cool. I never thought about seeing with using our third eye to see rather than, or first eye, whichever one you want to call it, rather than our eyes. So if you like, I just want you to tell some more stories about your readings, but can you kind of walk us through what happens in one of your readings and how you work? Like, how does it work for you? Like, I'm curious.
Okay, well, I like to start every reading with a medical intuitive reading, even if it's a medical mediumship reading that they want. I always start with that because I want to make sure that the person's okay and that they don't have an unknown condition like impending heart issues or cancer or something like that. And so I've just learned to do that as more of a public service. And so I get them to feel their pulse so that they can go inward. That's the best way to get them out of their head and going inward, to feel their pulse and then feel their heartbeat, and take some slow, deep breaths to help them relax and come out of their head. And then that way I can connect to them. I can connect to their physical body. I can feel their heartbeat. I can feel things going on in their body, either past, present, or future. Can be future, and I often get that. And then I go, if it's not a medical mediumship reading, then after the medical intuitive part, then I go on to get the other information they want. But I want to make sure I get that really solid connection with them first on a physical level. And then I go into other levels. And that proves to them my abilities as well. And then they become more relaxed and more open to receiving the other kinds of information that might come through for them.
It's sort of, you build a trust barrier there, right? And then then they open up and they drop down more of their shields so you can really connect in.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you had, I remember a story you told us about somebody that, like a parking lot where you felt it with a man.
Yeah, I used to live in an apartment building. I would go out to my car in the parking lot, and there was a couple, an older couple, that would sit outside their car in chairs and they would smoke. And I didn't know their names. I just walked up to them one day and I said, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And then I felt this pain in my chest that I just about fell on the ground. And I said to the man, "Do you have a heart or a lung condition?" And he said, "No, not that I know of." And then I said, "You need to see a doctor." And then the next day I saw him. He said, I was picking up on his wife who had lung cancer and surgery on her right lung. And I said, "No, this is you. You need to see a doctor." And so the next time I saw him, he said, "Oh, I've been to the doctor. I have aggressive form of lung cancer and a heart condition." And he was dead in 3 months. So that 3-month window did give him a chance to put his affairs in order. He got married to the lady, and I can share this story. They've since both died. She had cancer that returned as well.
But having that time to put your affairs in order and maybe do some healing before you die is a great way. Yeah,
and I wasn't trying to do a reading. I just felt it, just like
sort of like the Vancouver Island medium, not the Long Island medium. Just like
yeah. I know. I was trained not to, or told in controlled remote viewing, not to go up to people and do a reading without their permission, and it didn't happen like that. So when it happens like that, I feel that I'm meant to give them that information.
Spirit's almost pushing you in, like.
Because sometimes I could read past lives, and we've learned from our learning to read the Akashic records that we ask permission, or we got to have their permission first. Sometimes people are wearing these things on the outside, and they're so obvious. So I think what you saw was right there, ready to be told.
Yeah, I agree. And I do get a lot of people asking me to do past life readings, and I don't do that. I let other people do that. I've had what seems to be like a reincarnation experience, but I have had no training in past life experiences, so I don't go there.
Yeah, and some people you're just not meant to, like. That's not meant to be. I don't do any past lives either. So I mean, when I do my healing through the Akashic records, I sort of feel in my body what's going on, and when I'm in their Akashic records, I'm sort of soul to soul, so that's where I work on my healing. But that's what I do, and I've realized from what you're saying that I, I'm very selective too when I.
And some people have asked me to do. I don't know. They think they're cursed, and I don't do that. And I don't. I'm not. I don't chase ghosts like ghost hunter. Ghost hunting. I don't do any of that. So, what's on my website really is the breadth of work that I do, and I know that I'm good at that. I know I'm accurate at that. So that's what I focus on. I let other people do all the other specialties that they do, whatever they do.
I mean, yeah, everybody has a niche, right? So, so you do classes too, though.
I do,
see you.
yeah.
So I was telling my friends who you do medium or medical mediumship classes or both.
Medical mediumship classes. And I was doing controlled remote viewing classes, but I've stopped right now because my partner has cancer and we are overwhelmed. So I've scaled things back a bit.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do what you can do. So on a teaching, how do you teach somebody medical mediumship? How does that work? How would you do that?
Well, if I was doing it in a group, let's talk about the last time I taught it was in a large group where this was an outdoor event. And so everybody was safe. There was about 25 people there, and I would pair them, two people with each other. They couldn't know each other. They had to be strangers. And then we'd do the meditation, the deep breathing, and the finding your pulse to go into your heart beating. And then they would start to report what they felt or sensed about the other person. And they had to make notes. And then they would let the other person go. So they would each get a turn, and then we'd switch partners. But before we switched partners, they had to acknowledge yes or no. And it was remarkable how many people could pick up on what was happening or had happened in someone else's body. So but I also will do a session first with somebody so that they can see how it's done.
Oh, that's a nice way. And then do you find that when you're in groups, like there's a group energy that helps everybody sort of roll along with that?
Yeah, I do. And that's why I start with demonstrating it myself. And I talk a little bit about it and educate them beforehand about it. So then they kind of get an idea about what to expect, and then they get to see the demonstration of how it goes. And then they get to practice on each other. So and once you learn those skills and you start opening up to it, you can practice that in other areas of your life too.
That's pretty cool. Have you got something for our viewers, like a little exercise maybe they can learn how to, like, how would you teach someone who they don't know what gifts they might have? They don't know what gifts they might have.
Yeah, that's a very good question, isn't it? Are you talking about medical mediumship?
Or any of their gifts, like any of their.
Okay, well, I'd like to start with the basic, and that is empathy, the ability to feel another person's emotions. And that is a skill that can be learned to the majority of people on the planet. Psychopaths can't learn it. And then deja vu. If someone has deja vu, where they feel like they're stepping into deja vu, sometimes it's to the power of one or more, where they feel it and then feel it again and again, and it brings them in. Those are very important because that's the beginning of recognizing that there really is no such thing as time. Not really. I mean, we measure things by time and space. That's our construct. But when you're in spirit or when you're doing a reading, there is no such thing as time and space because you're in an altered state of consciousness where you're gathering information past, present, and future. So deja vu is part of that. You're stepping into your future. Those are really important skills to honor. And then what would be the next thing? Oh, phone calls. Somebody, you're thinking of somebody and then they phone. Those are important to pay attention to. Your gut instinct. Never doubt your gut instinct. It's always right. It will save your life if you let it, if you listen to it and honor it. And if you get, excuse me, hair standing up on the back of your neck, or if you feel like someone's staring at you, it's pretty likely that someone is. And the hair standing up on the back of the neck is always a danger, a warning. It's always a warning. So honor that. Honor our natural instincts. And then as you move into the other enigmatic faculties that we have, if you have an out-of-body experience or you find yourself floating in above your body, that's when the faculties are starting to open, or something manifests in front of you in the space.
Like orbs or like
orbs, yeah. These are interdimensional experiences. You can see portals, you can see all kinds of stuff. And that's when you start to connect with these kinds of experiences, or departed souls come to you. Maybe they're sitting on the end of your bed, or they're rapping on the door or wall or something. That's the time to start getting some training around these, like spiritual training, but not just any. You got to be really careful who you get training with. I would highly recommend someone like the Arthur Findlay College, because they're renowned all over the world. And in order to be a tutor, you have to work with them for I don't know how many years before you're accepted as a tutor. I mean, it's very stringent training. That's who I would recommend us for spiritual training. They have so many different kinds of classes that you can take. So those are probably the highlights. Or if you, there's more. I remember in the early stages, I shook somebody's hand and boom, I could see into his house. And I described what I saw, and he was astounded. And because I saw all the artwork on the walls and where, which way the house was facing and different details. And so if those kinds of situations or experiences are happening, then it's really wise to get some training, because you want to be grounded in what's happening to you and not run off to a psychologist saying, oh, what's wrong with me? Because nothing's wrong with you. You're starting to open these centers in the brain or in the mind where you can, where you're developing your abilities.
Yeah. I imagine some people, like, do you think, because like this day and age, we're so disconnected from ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we're always being distracted by something, that we're losing like some of our gifts? Or do you think we're gaining more of our gifts because this?
Wow. I think the ability to gain more gifts can be accelerated because of technology, because of the internet. Because of the speed to which we can access different websites or different videos to see how people are using enhanced abilities or abilities that are opening and manifesting. So I like technology. I love technology.
Yeah. Do you think it backfired on those who didn't want us to know about our gifts? like I know that some people say all this stuff dumbs you down, but like you say, there's a wealth of information now available to everyone. I mean, I use Google like a tarot cards. I do. Like I'll go and search something and I'll just go, oh, that one, and I'll pick it to find out where my information is, and see if that's what I really need to know about.
I think that they are starting to create technology that mimics our abilities.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So, and in the future, we're going to see really advanced technologies, and there's no reason to stop people from developing their abilities, but with really good teachers that are reputable and safe I'm going to say safe. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of not very nice stories out there about some teachers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to be careful because when we're opening ourselves up to different people, then we're really becoming vulnerable to their influence, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sort of.
it's
And
a
I think,
special relationship.
and people hear voices. Absolutely. I hear voices. I hear the deceased talking to me. I hear information coming to me during a reading for people. And it's just on another plane. It's on another level. But I also feel the information. It's like I use my body as an antenna. And the information comes in many different ways, many different frequencies. I see pictures, I hear things, I feel things. So I have been taught and have now learned how to decode those frequencies.
So, yeah, it's more or less like, yeah, getting the decoding. Like you don't realize the gifts you might have until you are exposed to them. Like there was a time when I didn't know I could smell dead people.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
know. Until somebody put it together to what that smell was that I smell sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I would tell people if they're learning to not doubt themselves, not second guess themselves, not intellectualize it away, but to honor what they're getting and explore it. Really explore it. Don't throw it away because this could be one of your many gifts.
as long as the voices aren't telling you to do self-harm, yeah, or do some harm to others, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
then that's a different kind of story. So what's up next for you? So anything exciting coming up besides, I know you have lots going on at home right now, but is there anything else going on that's coming up next?
Wow. What else is coming up? Hard to think in the moment about that without looking at my website to see what's planned, but
I know you have a discount coupon for anyone that can go to your website right now, and
yeah.
all that information's there. So you kind of
Yeah.
have a Christmas discount.
Yes, for the month of December, and they can book any time into the future before the end of December. I was planning to do another public demonstration for medical mediumship and then a separate demonstration for spiritual mediumship, just to show people to demonstrate how it works and so that it demystifies it. Some people are so afraid they go like this, the devil. It's not the devil. It's and fundamental religions seem to discount these abilities, yet their priests hold these abilities, and we're supposed to just bow to them. That's not how spirituality works anymore.
Because people who passed are the same people. Do you find that they're the same people, or are they a little different? Are they a little bit more cognizant of everything that's going on? So they may have changed a bit in personality.
Well, I think they're the same person. They may go through some levels of healing, and I felt that especially with two departed souls. But they're still the same people, and because they go through different levels of healing, just like us on Earth, it can change how they approach relationship, and how they are with themselves and others, of course.
But there's no reason to be scared of them. Like I know somebody says, "Oh, well, the ghost," and I said, "Well, it's your mom. Like, why would you be afraid of your mom?" Like,
Yeah, I'm not a ghost hunter like that.
No. Well, my friend was saying their mom came back and gave them some signs, and he was I said, "Why would you be afraid of your mom if she was coming back to do that, to tell you she's okay?" Like.
Yeah, they're okay on the other side. They're free of whatever, whether it was illness or hardship on this plane. They're free of that on the other plane. Although I think there is a process that they go through. I clearly sense that. And when they come through a mediumship reading or in a dream state to their loved ones, there's real communication that happens. and a real opportunity for healing.
Mhm.
So it's nothing to be afraid of. Some
Yeah.
people don't want to hear from their departed loved one. They say, "I don't want to hear. I don't want to. I don't want anything to do with it." If they come through. So I usually, in a, for instance, a medical mediumship reading, if a departed soul comes through, say a male or a female, whatever, I say, "Oh, it feels like a mother here is here, or a father is here, or whatever." But I don't go into sharing messages because it's not a mediumship reading, a spiritual mediumship reading. And I said, "I'm going to focus on you. Just know that your loved one is here, present during your reading."
Mm.
So, yeah. Unless
That's
the spirit really hounds me, then I'll say something. I'll share something. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
it's
That's
amazing.
awesome. Bex, what do you think? What do you think?
I think it's absolutely amazing. Like I love listening to you share your stories and your
Yeah.
experiences, and it's very inspiring because I know that we've all had our own individual experiences that we question, of course, because some of it seems a little crazy. So to be able to have you validate our experiences as well is really, it's impactful and inspiring, and thank you for that, and thank you for doing what you do, because I know it's got to be hard sometimes, like to hear how many suicides you've dealt with in your own personal life, and then having people come to you who have had those that have, in their lives that have committed suicide as well, is one of the most horrible things that, we as humans experience, is to lose a loved one to suicide. So I thank you for showing up that way, and being able to hold space for them and share their messages.
Yeah, those are very difficult readings, but they're very healing
Yeah.
for people. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So beautiful. I love it. I would love to get training. I would love to look into getting more, understanding of the things. Like I was actually, this morning I was recognizing that I had heard once that when you are reading messages from someone and you can hear it in their voice, like that's the start of being clairaudient. Like that's the opening, kind of the gateway to clairaudience, is when you can read people's messages and you hear their voice in your head. That it helps you to open up to being able to hear more, because of course you have that ability to tune into that vibration.
And then
So it's
to
very
see
cool.
them and see the person and see the pictures that they're sharing with you, about their life on Earth.
Right.
Those are, wow, really
Yeah.
exciting. Really exciting.
Very
Yeah.
cool. That's amazing stuff. Absolutely. Oh,
And then
thank you
I
so
did
much.
want to speak today to one reading I was doing for a lady I had never met. I was doing it in person and said, "Oh, there's a man here, departed. And this man doesn't feel very nice. It's very dark, dark energy." And I said, "He's showing me a truck on this property." And I described the property and the truck. And then he was opening a glove box to show me a picture of a female. And she gasped. She said, "Oh, this is the person we believe has killed somebody, and that
Wow.
sounds like the person." And it was very disturbing because he wasn't sorry. He had no remorse. I could still feel the very dark energy about him.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was not very nice.
No.
So you've worked on cases like for investigation as well? Have you
Well,
helped?
yeah, I have, to find missing people. And then there was one lady that came to me. She wanted to connect to her best friend who had died, a woman. And the woman came through, showed me her children that are living, young children, her husband, and then showed me how she died. She was hit by a car, and I said, "Oh, it was a man who was driving the car, and he was under the influence of some drug or alcohol or something." And she said, "Yes." And she said, and the mother was so upset because of the courts and the woman in spirit, the mother. And so she was very upset for her children and her husband. And so I relayed that information. Then at the end of the reading, the woman said, "You can't talk about this because it's still in the courts." And then she told me who it was, and it was a RCMP who had been hit by a drunk driver. And
Ah,
it was a really high profile case, and it really was very upsetting, really upsetting. there's a lot of energy around it, that kind of stayed with me for a bit.
Yeah.
So those kinds of readings can be difficult.
And how do you clear yourself
I was
afterwards?
going to ask that too. Like, there's got to be something self-care here. Like, oof.
Well, I was taught that when you start a reading, you, like a zipper, you open yourself up to do the reading, and then at the end you close yourself off.
Okay.
And you don't carry it. That's other people's stuff.
Right.
And so I just got overwhelmed by that case because the woman was so upset about her kids and her husband. So, and I could feel her emotion, like, so, they obviously have unfinished business on that side. And who knows if maybe I was the only person that could have shared that at that moment. I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but I just do the work. Yeah.
Melinda says, I hear my departed twin's voice a lot. Never thought of it, that it was actually her. We'll rethink that. Thank you.
Oh, isn't that lovely? They especially come back to their twin. Yeah. In dreams, what seems like a dream, but it's not. It's after death communication. So honor it. Absolutely. Yeah.
I remember my aunt once asking me about my mom. She said, how come I dream about your mom? How come, what do you think that is? And I said, well, that's her just coming to visit you. She said, well, why? I said, well, because if she came in person, you'd freak out. She said, that's true. I would. I said, so she's just coming by to talk to you because she misses you.
I would also like to recommend to the lady that left that message?
Melinda,
Yeah, that there's a really good book by Bill Guggenheim. He also has YouTube videos, and his work is classic. It's called Hello from Heaven, and that's all about after-death communications. And his research project was with people all over the world who've had these kinds of experiences. So if you watch his videos or read his little paperback book, you might begin to really understand how your twin is communicating with you in other ways too.
that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Melinda definitely would be open to all that. That's for sure. So that's excellent. Anything else you'd like to tell us about?
Well, I think in the new year, 2022, I am going to start writing a book because so many people.
I was wondering when that was going to come.
Yeah. Because some of these stories really need to be shared, and my abilities came through a lot of trauma, which is not a very nice way to get these abilities, but whatever. I've overcome that, and am, really enjoying the work and how it is I'm able to help people. It's just on different levels than in any other area of life that I could imagine.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Have you got a title for your book? Sometimes it comes, or no?
I've got them written down, a whole bunch of ideas, but I haven't settled on one. No, not yet. Not yet.
That's so cool. I think 2022 is going to be a better year. That's just my feeling.
Yes.
Let's hope so.
Yes.
It's a portal day. Somebody reminded us.
12/12.
12/12.
12/12 gateway.
Right.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
About closure and letting go of the past and opening up to new beginnings, and it's exactly what we need before we jump into this new year.
It can be hard to let go because we don't know what we're letting go to. So there's this void in that process of letting go. Like, what am I letting go for? Because we're so used to hanging on and clinging on to our old ideas, our old patterns, or old fears. So what I have learned is that we personally do hold the key to our own either love or fear. And it's how we use that key that really changes our lives. So if you're living in fear patterns, then looking at it at a different way, from a pattern of love. Look at people with love, except for murderers, of course. But I'm speaking generally. look at people with love and look to their child, to their core, to their spirit, not to the things that they might still be troubled with, like perhaps emotional issues or psychiatric issues or whatever. Because we all struggle, and that is part of life. And that the waves of life, we're in it for the long haul, so we have to learn to ride those waves of life, because good comes, bad comes, challenges come. And when we embrace the challenge, we can learn so much from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said.
Very well, wise words. Thank you,
Yes.
Terry.
Yeah.
I hope to see you sometime. Next time I'm out on the island. I didn't get a chance to this year because I had to be at a wedding. Darn. So in Tofino. So that was awful. Hopefully nice. So maybe next time I come, I'd like to visit you sometime.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
I'd love
Got
that.
lots of space. You can stay.
My sister's down in Sissamino, so I have to probably stay with her if she'll let me in this time. Yeah, no, hopefully their house will be all done by then. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to Tofino. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, it was a great place for my son to elope to and take us with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
I know. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful island, and I love visiting there. And I wish I could have gone to see my daughter in her production this week, but I couldn't do that either. So they're in the theater somewhere doing God Sees Dog, or Dog Sees God. So it was an apt one. It's a Charlie Brown one.
That's funny.
Oh, how nice. Oh, it sounds so cute.
It is. It sounds really cute. But so anything else, girls? Teresa, you
I
have
just
any
have to
final
announce the
words?
winner.
Oh, yeah. We can.
But Teresa, do you have anything to say first?
Yeah, I know.
No, I was enjoying myself. I love the stories. They're heartwarming and inspiring and like triggering thoughts and things, and like Beck said, validating and stuff. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to meet with you ladies.
Yeah, we'll have to come back again when you start your book and get busy writing on that, and just that'd be interesting. We want to hear some sneak peeks of it. So.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah,
Okay.
I can do that.
Awesome. So everyone just go, the links to book Terry or to get some more information on what's going on and see more about her is in the video above. So you can just find it there. And Bex. Oh, we wanted to ask Terry her theme song because I thought it was funny.
Theme song?
Theme song of your life, yeah.
Theme song
You said, what? Yeah, you said it was. I forget what you were telling me. You told me on Messenger. That was pretty funny, I thought.
Wow. Okay, I'd have to look back on that to see what I wrote.
I'm going to go back. Though. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong Messenger. But yeah, you were saying it was trust your gut.
Oh, absolutely. That's the theme song. The theme of my life is to always trust your gut. It's never wrong. It will never steer you wrong. You just have to learn how to honor it and not dismiss it.
Right.
Because we're taught, we're not taught these things, right? So we're in that way, we're kind of dumbed down. But to listen to your instinct, that is your first brain. Your gut is your first brain. That's your true brain that tells you whether you're in a situation that's safe or not.
Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
That's about my life anyway, because I've been in a lot of unsafe situations.
Yeah, it's always that if I had only listened to my gut. I'm always in those 2020, what is it?
Yeah,
hindsight is 2020. I only listen to my gut.
Yeah, it's so true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the way we should go. We'll go do it the other way around this year. So.
Yes.
Yeah, listen to your intuition and follow your heart. That can be, and not dismiss your heart, because your heart should lead with love.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay,
I like that
Bexy.
for 2022's theme. Lead with love.
Yeah,
That's what
I
we
like
should
that.
focus on. Lead with love. I
Yeah.
like that. Let's make that the theme. Okay,
Okay.
so I just want to say real quick, thank you, all of us, or all of you, for hanging out with us today. And please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube page because we have now hit 500 subscribers on YouTube, which is super exciting. Yes, that was a big milestone for us. It's taken us a while to get there, but we are so grateful to all of those who have subscribed. And if you're not subscribing, please go do so because there's so many amazing episodes that we have backlogged there that you can go look at playlists and see what we have. So many amazing healing opportunities and informational episodes that just will blow your mind. We've had so much fun doing this for as long as we have, and we will be continuing into the next year and for who knows how
Next
long.
season, yeah.
Yes, next season. So thank you so much. And it's almost actually our anniversary is what, January 6th?
Yes.
I
Wow.
think. So that's how many years, Rhonda? You keep track.
It'll be our fifth year. We're going into our fifth year.
Wow.
I thought we were going into
Congratulations.
6.
That's crazy.
Okay.
So if you guys
Alright.
have any recommendations for people you want to hear, just
Yes.
message us or put it in the comments. We'd love to hear.
Oh, isn't
5
that a nice
years.
idea? Wonderful.
Yeah. All right. So last week's winner who shared out the most and won with Rhonda is Jean Alley. Congratulations. And whoever shares out the most this week will win with me. And we'll announce that not next week because next week we pre-recorded. So we won't be live next week. But it's a super fun show. Thanks to Nancy's awesome recommendation for one of her very cool friends, David Rosenthal. So that's pre-recorded. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks and announce the winner then.
Yeah,
So
so we'll wish you happy holidays because
Yeah. Happy holidays, everybody.
happy holidays and have a safe one too.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, thank you everybody. We'll see you after Christmas.
Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Namaste.